statistically speaking, 5 of the marriages will fail.
Yeah.
So
my first year of being married, I was.
Feel free to come join us.
yeah, if you want to come up here.
I can't hear you. What? What?
Well, my first year, I remember thinking, you butt heads because now you're like, okay, this is a different person. You have your own differences. Some things like your wife will mention. Like I could be wanting to do something.
Eat chocolate?
And then, no, not even that. Like the first, like I'm going to change that bulb. I'm going to change it as soon as I come off work. And then she will say that, even though I was going to do it.
It just now you don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's just like,
Like,
Honey, I was doing that anyway.
I got it.
That's like a man's thing. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, but it was those things that in your first year you learn each other. And what I always went with is there are things that I do that will irritate my wife, and in my mind I will think,
Why?
well, this isn't such a big deal. But as I grew as we grew together, I understood that it doesn't have to make sense
To you.
for me.
Correct.
For me to be like, okay, it's not the biggest deal. I just won't do it
Correct.
because I know that
Yeah.
It's a button.
Yeah, it's just a button.
Exactly.
So what's the point of me doing that even though I don't think it's wrong?
Yeah.
And then spend a whole
Afternoon, you try to avoid each other.
arguing about it. So, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first year, like you're like,
Oh yeah.
you're learning about
two
each
enemies.
other, and you're like,
Yeah, and I think the first year is also super interesting too, because like if you're not together before marriage, if like you don't live together, you can just go home, like you just leave. Like if you're spending time together, and you kind of butt heads a little bit, one person just goes home, and then you come back the next day and you're fine usually.
And you
But-
really get to know each other.
But
when
yeah,
you live
but
together.
in marriage,
my
the first
gosh.
year you're just like there, and
Big
you can't really
difference.
go anywhere except for
Yes.
like a different room of the house. And it's I mean, you could drive away, but that's probably not the best thing to do. So
Definitely
it
not.
can get a little awkward.
Yeah, going what you said off of emotions. Well, 2 points. Yeah, when you first get married, you have depending what your relationship that was. If you're a single virgin, never. Yes, it's going to be completely new to each other. So there's going to be a lot of vulnerability that's not like they don't feel that's acceptable or maybe acceptable. But there's had to be a lot of open communication the first few months, years even into a marriage, because that can change. She can be okay with this year, next year, and then something changes where females tend to grow up faster than men. I think we all can kind of realize that. I've seen relationships where females would do certain things when they were younger, but that's changed once they had kids or grown up, and the males still like, why are you not doing those things? What did I do differently? Because we're still stuck
the
in
male's
that.
like trying to figure out again.
Correct. How do
what
I
the
go
problem
back to
is,
that?
yeah.
And it's not you per se. It's just something's changed, and you have to adapt to the situation. You can't force them to do
Right.
whatever that was that's no longer there. And so that's a dynamic that's definitely not really talked about ever. But what I was going to say, you mentioned emotions. With emotions, I've learned that emotions don't have to be valid, like you said to what you just said. I find that certain things, like she'll get annoyed, she being my wife, Janet, will be annoyed at certain things, and I'm like, this makes zero sense to me. I'm like, I don't even understand what the big deal is. But then I take a step back, I'm like, okay, well, obviously, this emotion is valid, so my boy will sometimes have a meltdown. And she's like, he's too emotional, I can't take it. I'm like, even though we know this is irrational behavior, that emotion is real to him. So it's like looking outside, seeing the sky's blue, and I say, it's not blue, it's purple. You're like, I'm literally looking at the sky and it is blue. I'm like, well, you're wrong. I see you're looking at it, but it's incorrect. It's actually purple. I cannot change your opinion on that sky being blue, period. And so that's with him, that is, or her, it's rational. Well, I'm saying him, my son. You're married to a female, males.
Should be.
Yes. So I'm just saying the rationale behind it doesn't have to make sense. You just have to take it in. It can be even, you don't have to be sympathetic. It can just be empathy, which is a gray area because you want it, eventually with a husband and wife, you should be more sympathetic, not just empathetic. But I have a lot of empathy with certain situations because I may not be in that role. I've never been in that situation before. So I have to look at it at a different dynamic. Like, hey, if I was in her shoes and this is how it felt, what I did, how could that create it a hostile environment and try to adapt on that. But it's every day is a learning lesson, because you may say, I'm going to do this next week, and sure enough, she does the same thing. You're like, you know what? I'm going to be petty. I'm not doing it. Like, and you have to realize that you cannot be petty in a relationship, but it is going to
If we want to talk about what men are, they're definitely petty.
We are absolutely petty. Like, you see clothes on the bed that you left there for me to put away because you know it's my job. I came home from work and you were off, and the clothes are still there for me to put away. It's annoying, but I'm like, you know what? She hates putting hanging clothes up. For me, I'm like, I don't care. Like, it takes me 2 seconds to put clothes on the hanger.
You're tall.
And so I'm like, okay, just put the clothes away. Like, it's just one of those things. But some days they're on the bed, and like it's nighttime. I'm like, I'm not putting it away, so I just chuck them in a basket. I'm like, I'll do it later. And I know that annoys her, but I'm not doing it intentionally to annoy her. I just don't feel like addressing the issue right now. Just put them away. I'll handle it tomorrow. So, learning those little dynamics and those little things for the 2 seconds it takes me to put those clothes away, that can make her night so much better, and she sleeps so much well, which goes to the next day. Now we have a great day. And it's those little teeny things. I wish we could see it in a chart, like for the guys that are married. The
Gold star today.
Sexual relationship with your wife, and the build up from the things we do throughout the day that build them up versus leave them neutral or take them apart, has a full effect of that. I've seen guys are like, well, why are we not having sex? We used to have sex 3 times a week or 5 times a week. What is happening now? It's once a month. Well, have you noticed what are you not doing, or what are you overlooking? And there's some things that maybe you overlook that are not building up your spouse.